as you guys have noticed, Republicans are winning. And it's because they're giving their base what they want, while Democrats are actually pretending to be Republicans, and they're really bad at it, and they're giving us nothing of what we want. And
Being
so
hypocritical the whole time.
exactly. And I feel like this is on purpose, but Waleed Sahid posted this latest CBS poll where only 5% of Republicans say they're voting for Joe Biden. Right now, that's lower than the 8% of Republicans who voted for Obama in 2008. 6% of Republicans who voted for Obama in 2012, and 7% of Republicans who voted for Hillary in 2016. So, yeah, that's an interesting statistic. And he goes on to say, in August 2016, 41% of voters identified as Republican, GOP leaners, and 48% identified as Democrats, Dem leaners. In August 2020, 42% of voters identify as Republicans, GOP leaners. 48% of voters identified as Democrats, Dem leaners. So it's a little bit more, but I think these polls aren't showing everybody and everything because, like I said, we were in Florida, and I'm telling you, Trump is going to win, and it's not something that I'm happy about. I'm just literally telling you what it is. So this is what Trump has said, and this is what I mean by they're playing to their base. The Republicans are really good at giving their base what they want, riling them up, making sure they fall in line with them and their donors. Because remember, they're also talking to their donors. They're not just talking to their voters. But the Republicans have managed to both talk to their donors and their voters and have them fall in line so well, something that the Democratic Party has been absolutely unable to do. So let's just hear what Mr. Trump has to say.
And his running mate, Kamala, urged their supporters to do the same thing. It's outrageous that they're now seeking to shift the blame for the mayhem, and they really want to put it on the backs of the police. I see it. The police are there's just a war on law enforcement in this country, and without law enforcement, we wouldn't have a country. We have very talented people. They're not allowed to do their job. If you give the radical left power, what you're seeing in the Democrat-run cities will be brought to every city in this country. If they have that power, every city in this country could be potentially another Portland or another Chicago where they've had such problems. To defeat them, we must jail lawbreakers, and we must defeat their hateful ideology about this country, about America. We must teach our children that America is an exceptional, free, and just nation worth defending, preserving, and protecting. And that's what we want to do. They want to destroy our country. They're going to destroy our suburbs. But I think I've gone a long way from allowing that to happen. The suburbs are protected, especially with the rule changes that I made. I took them out of the Obama administration. They were going to be made much worse. What we're witnessing today is a result of left-wing indoctrination in our nation's schools and universities. Many young Americans have been fed lies about America being a wicked nation plagued by racism. Indeed, Joe Biden and his party spent their entire convention spreading this hateful and destructive message while refusing to say one word about the violence. They didn't
Okay. So, like, as you can see, Donald Trump is going full fascist. It's like he's reading a script. Fascist. He's going full fascist. I mean, let's be real. He's reading a script, but this is, I mean, look, he's literally saying what I hear trolls who come onto our thing when we cover the protests, saying the same thing they're saying. They are right in line with him. They are right in line with him. He is going after those people because he knows that divide and that people, and scaring people, fear-mongering them into thinking that these Antifa and these radical leftists, by the way, calling like the Democrats radical leftists is laughable, are going to like really, but it's working. It is working. It is working so well. Yep. And it's really dangerous because the Democrats don't have a real opposition.
He's really fear-mongering, saying that they're going to go to the suburbs and stuff like that. Like that's not happening.
The part of the problem is what's going on and what feeds crime or whatever you want to say. It's poverty. You know what I'm saying? Poverty is the thing that's really killing. So, you know, when you have all these austerity members from all these Democrats that just repeat the Republican, it's one big party. You have all these people getting poor. You know what I'm saying? And that just fucking lights a match on everything. We said this before. 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. They're on edge right now. They're freaking nuts, though. So, I mean, I do not like what I see going across the board here. I don't like this rhetoric for Donald Trump because this makes me think that they can just get freaking Gestapo-wise.
Yeah.
But, what have the Democrats really fucking done to help the situation?
That's
they pushed a guy in Joe Biden who introduced the freaking crime bill, Kamala Harris, who jailed how many black people for smoking weed and hung them on technicalities for people who wouldn't even give them DNA to prove that they were innocent in some DNA test to prove that they were innocent. So it's like one party's feeding the other right now.
Yeah.
It is scary time, ladies and gentlemen.
It is.
I don't know.
And people like Ann Coulter, first she said Kyle Rittenhouse, she wanted him to be president and her bodyguard. And now she's bringing up a point of weakness in the Democratic Party by saying Biden will avoid debating Trump. Trump and media will blame COVID. Dems and media will blame COVID, Trump's racism, or an act of God. But somehow he won't debate Trump. This is the thing. Biden not debating Trump, the Democrats hiding Biden is like the worst thing they can do. He looks weak right now, plays to Trump's base. Look how weak he is. Look how stupid they are, how inept they are. I'm going to take this country. I'm facing the forefront. I'm making America great again. It goes right into it. And the Democrats, instead of actually defending it, put out Joe Biden, who can't even complete sentences. And neither can I, apparently. But let's just let's watch what Joe Biden said.
The thing.
You're
doing a good Joe Biden imitation right now, by the way.
The thing, fam. No, first Biden is gonna discuss fracking. And let's talk about that, because this is what the Republicans said. Joe Biden is gonna ban fracking, right? And instead of being like, yeah, I'm gonna ban fracking and get the progressives and climate activists and all these people who literally don't want to die on planet Earth on his side, he tries to be a Republican, and he does a really bad job at it, because Trump, you're not going to beat Trump at being a Republican. So here you go. Or maybe he will. I don't know.
I've laid out an agenda for economic recovery that will restore a sense of security for working families. We won't just build things back the way they were before. We're going to build them back better, with good paying jobs, building our nation's roads, bridges, solar arrays, windmills, with investments in our healthcare and childcare workers, so they get the pay and dignity they deserve, while easing the financial burdens on millions of families. With a clean energy strategy that is a place for the energy workers right here in Western Pennsylvania. I am not banning fracking. Let me say that again. I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me. I've laid out an agenda for economic recovery.
So who's going to vote for you, Joe? Then the Republicans, you're not banning fracking, but okay, Donald Trump isn't banning fracking and he's giving them what they want. You're not giving them what they want. You're sticking your toe in one way, trying to be a Republican, and then you're sticking your toe trying to be somewhat of a moderate Democrat. You're literally you have no stance. You don't stand for anything other than I'm not Trump. I mean, this is, fam.
And it sounds like Trump. I'm not banning fracking. I'm not banning fracking. Duh, that's what Trump would say. He's all pro freaking fracking. It's disgusting, because this is the guy, I'm the guy who was in office with Obama for years while the homeless population grew, while poverty grew, while millions of people got thrown out of their houses, 1 million houses were lost. We had regime change in Honduras, Ukraine. This is the guy that the Democrats push forward. And like I said before, how can you be mad at the people on the right who voted for Donald Trump? He's giving them what they want. The only problem is the left isn't giving us what we want. Like my boy Gamer for Life, who's a lefty libertarian, just like me. And we want some form of that. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's so much opportunity to grab, to really have an opposition to Trump. And what are they giving you? They're giving you the same thing as Trump. Biden is trying to out-Trump Trump. And that, to me, fam, is just insane.
Out-Trump. I love it.
He's trying to out-Trump Trump.
And it is with great sadness that I share this from Comrade Misty is Putin's buddy. Sarcasm Stardust. who puts a picture of Biden discusses his energy plan saying, I am not banning fracking. Let me say that again. I am not banning fracking, no matter how many times Donald Trump lies about me. And then she puts what Bernie Sanders said. When politicians say that climate change is not real, it's not just that they're lying. It's not just that they're rejecting science. They are turning their backs on the people of Louisiana who are dealing with the catastrophic impacts of climate today. And this is Bernie posting that while supporting Joe Biden. Within 3 minutes apart of Joe Biden saying fracking. Bernie, I understand that you think that Biden is a lesser threat than Trump. At least get the guy to say that he is going to ban fracking, or I don't know, talk to him, because his team is like,
don't say that. Just shut your mouth. Just shut up.
But
Joe.
I mean,
put him back in the basement. He comes out of the basement one day and he's already screwing up. I mean, I'm glad, because like I said, I want them to lose so badly. Really, I want the Democratic Party to be smashed into thousands and thousands of pieces and stuff like that. I mean, like I said,
I agree.
I'm not going to get mad at the people who have Trump that want. I disagree with them strongly, but Trump is giving them what they want. The left is giving us what we don't want. Exactly what they don't want. They're literally telling all the young people in this country, screw you. You don't have a real opposition to him. You either take it and that's it. That's why I'm saying, really, the lesser of two evil right now is the two-party duopoly. We need to smash it. So
exactly. And so here's the part where the Republicans are probably already using this like to no avail, like, or to every avail. Like, let's just hear what Biden said, because I need you to translate. I don't understand.
Okay, I'll help you.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, it's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it, more lives this year than any other year for the past 100 years.
He was saying, I need a cup of warm milk and my nap. My blood sugar's low, and I need to see my psychiatrist and my nurse. That's what he was saying.
Is this your king, Democrats? I mean, this is so sad. I feel bad for Biden, to be honest. Like,
I don't
like just seeing him out there.
I did earlier, but
superficially,
stay in the basement. Yeah.
Like just seeing an older man out there, like, what are you doing? He needs to, like, he is definitely not mentally okay. And the Republicans are going to use that, whether he debates, whether he doesn't debate, it doesn't matter. They're going to use it against him. The Democrats have literally, they're at fault for putting themselves here. Don't blame the protesters. Don't blame Antifa Democrats. Blame the people you chose to represent you in Joe Biden, when you could have had a Bernie Sanders, when you could have had whatever, anybody else but Biden. I mean, like, it's insane. They did all of this, and I really think, Pasta, they don't want to win. I think that this is all. It was all a ploy.
Well, we should help them out. We should help them out. We'll make sure they lose and lose badly. You know what I'm saying? You, ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to vote for Joe Biden. You do not have to vote for Joe Biden. Don't do it, man. Just don't do it. If we continue to do this, fam, can you imagine if Joe Biden wins under these conditions and the way they forced us into the corner to make us vote for this, or the people for this, that they're really guilting people? And that's why it's so disappointing to see Marianne Williamson today, after a great speech yesterday, to even further go down the hole when it comes to Biden, like to act like there's a big difference. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, come on. Where are your priorities? I don't get it, how they could say, go ahead and vote for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. It just blows my mind.
So, fam, here on the protesting issue, here is what Joe Biden, instead of being in solidarity with the protesters, which you think would make sense, now he's turning around and saying this.
Rioting is not protesting. Looting is not protesting. Setting fires is not protesting. None of this is protesting. It's lawlessness, plain and simple. And those who do it should be prosecuted. Violence will not bring change. It will only bring destruction. It's wrong in every way. It divides instead of unites. Destroys businesses, only hurts the working families that serve the community. It makes things worse across the board, not better. No, it's not what Dr. King or John Lewis taught, and it must end.
Okay. So some people might agree with Joe Biden here, but that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is Joe Biden is sounding a lot like Donald Trump. And when you are a Democrat, you're sounding just like your opponent. Like you're literally using that same talking point that all of these protests have been violent, that all of this has been looting, that all of this, and he's evoking the name of Dr. King, who was murdered at the hands of the police state because he started to realize, holy crap, like he, at the end of his life, Dr. King, for those of you who don't know, actually realized that he couldn't be as much of a pacifist. He actually took up a gun because they were attacking him at his house, his wife and his kids. They kept attacking him. So for Joe Biden to say this, do you think the Bernie coalition, the progressive coalition, people of color that really are aware and they don't like him are going to vote for him? Do you think he's going to bring out the younger generation who are like, fuck capitalism right now in the streets in Beverly Hills where we just went? He's not going to bring them out. This is, again, the Democrats are not listening to their base who wants Medicare for all, who wants a Green New Deal, who wants to defund the police, who wants all these things. They're not. Instead, they're trying to replicate what Donald Trump is doing, but in a more like sane way, less like more presidential way, better spoken way. Barely.
Yeah,
like I don't even know if that's it.
They're lost, the Democrats. They don't know where they're at. And if I would have handled this speech, I would have talked about why people are out there in the first place. You're not even acknowledging why people are so upset. Why? Because you were part of the problem. You were part of the administration.
You wrote the crime bill.
Inequality grows. You wrote the crime bill. Like literally, he wrote the crime bill, ladies and gentlemen. You know, he pushed for the Iraq war. He gave the thumbs up for Ukraine. But I mean, that's the thing, is that they were part of the problem. That's why they can't even acknowledge the problem. What I always see, no matter what, and what I talk about all the time, when I talked about these situations with my friends or anybody else, is like, well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, everybody, like I said, they're working 80% of America paycheck to paycheck. They're hungry. They're starving. They don't know what the future is going to lie. They got no future. They don't know when and if they're going to be homeless. We have to acknowledge these things and why people are upset in the first place. And you can always talk about what's right or what's wrong, but why aren't we acknowledging why people are so pissed off to begin with in the first place? You know, the race issue and what's going on and the way these men are being murdered, yeah, that's lighting the fuse. But like we said, fam, from our acting ability, people don't just get angry. They walk around angry, and then the fuse lights and something puts them over the edge. That is what's going on over here. You know what I'm saying? It's deep, nuanced, fucked up shit. And these guys were part of the austerity members that put people into poverty, and they should not be running against Donald Trump. We should have a real opposition, and we don't.
Well, it's just because, you know, Breonna Taylor's murderers are still walking around. Like, that's what really angers a lot of people. And then maybe the poverty stuff is more like in the subconscious, and now becoming more and more into the conscious. Yeah. It's becoming more and more into the conscious. People are getting more and more mad. But it's really the video footage of George Floyd with a knee on his neck for 8 minutes, and I forgot, it was 46 seconds, I believe. The video footage of Breonna Taylor, the video footage of Jacob Blake, Elijah McClain fucking getting dosed with ketamine and being killed on the spot there in Colorado.
They're claiming
that's it. That's what I think is really driving people out into the streets. And then now more and more people are having conversations. We're starting to see more class talk.
Yeah.
We're starting to see that. It was Antifa protesters last night we saw.
Well, it's both too, because people wouldn't be out in the streets either as many if they were happily concerned, like if they had their UBI, if they had health care, if they were comfortable, if they felt trust that they were getting taken care of by those elected leaders. If they would feel like, you know what, we can at least work in a different way. No, riots are the language of the unheard, MLK said. And I love how Biden loves to put MLK in there, but MLK said that. And then, you know, initially, like I said, he wasn't for violence, but then he got murdered. This police state murdered Malcolm X. They murdered Fred Hampton. I'm telling you, this is like, he's not addressing either the economic concerns of the people or the racial concerns of people, and he expects to beat Donald Trump. He's literally saying the same thing Donald Trump is. What Nixon said, what Reagan said, law and order. He's literally echoing the same messages of the civil rights movement persecutors, of the civil rights movement oppressors. He's representing the same side of Donald Trump. This is not an opposition party. This is like, it's like Bud Light and Budweiser. I mean, not even.
Yeah.
It's one and the same at this point. But
yeah. And Donald Trump will even talk about his fugazi money, the economy before everything get bad. He's always talking about it. You ever hear the Democrats talk about that shit? No, because they can't help anybody do anything. All they do is install austerity measures that make people even more poor. But they're nice and they're friendly and they say they care for you, whatnot. No, they don't. I mean, let's be honest too, as well. You know what I'm saying? If we had a society where not everybody was poor, maybe George Floyd wouldn't have had to try to use money to buy food because he was so damn poor in the fucking first place. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, once again, not just putting it on that, but it's just so fucking disgusting across the board where we're at right now. And Donald Trump does not have an opposition. Joe Biden is not an opposition. They literally picked the worst two people on that stage that don't stand for any of the things we want to see change at. You know what I'm saying? What Kamala Harris did in this state alone, it's disgusting. And I don't know where we go from here, fam, because I don't think Biden has a prayer.
People should be opposing those two choices. That's what people should be doing, like really? Demanding a new election.
That's what we should be protesting. Get Joe Biden drop out right now. I'd like to show 1,000 people up in front of Joe Biden's house and saying, drop out. And we ain't leaving till you drop out.
Yep.
100%. Kamala Harris, we're not leaving till you drop out. But instead, people are getting behind them.
That's a huge problem, too. And I think people just are scared and they need to see beyond that fear manipulation. Chicky Hearn posted, CNN just asked an undecided voter if she could vote for Biden. She immediately brought up his cognitive function, that he reminded her of Reagan when he was losing his mind and he would be steered and led by others. They fucked around and now they are finding out. Okay, so let's see what this person says, because she's likely a random voter out in the country.
Joe Biden is a good man. He is not the man for this hour, in my opinion. I just think that that it's as simple as that.
Why is that? Why do you think that?
To me, kind of where he's at is comparable to perhaps where President Reagan was at the end of his second term in terms of his cognition. I just don't think that he has what it takes to be president. I think his mental acuity is down, and I think that he would be handled and led and steered in ways that I don't think would be helpful for our country. That makes me sad to say that. None of this brings me any joy or any pleasure. But I'm watching people in my state, in the service business, have their lives impacted incredibly. And I feel like no one's listening. I feel like, the stock market is at record levels. What you're not realizing is that service people, I'm in the hair business, people in the restaurant business are losing their jobs. Companies, small business is going out of business. I think we're going to lose.
Literally. Pasta, how many times have we talked about the restaurant industry, half of them not being able to open up? How much have we talked about bartender servers? What are they going to do? Like this is like an economic tsunami collapse, about a wave of collapse coming in. Nobody's addressing it. And Joe Biden seems like he's in cognitive decline. And Donald Trump, she goes on later to say she doesn't like Trump, but he seems more competent to lead the country. That is where the vast majority of Americans like her, of that age group that go out to vote, are thinking. So to all of you who still think that Joe Biden's going to win, I'm sorry to tell you, I really am not seeing it here. I am really, really not seeing it left and right. I'm not seeing that happen.